We're awaiting President Biden's remarks at a union conference in D.C. We'll be listening when he speaks for any reaction to Israel's overnight retaliatory strikes on Iran. But for now, early this morning, Israel carried out limited strikes near a major Iranian airbase and nuclear site. This came days after Iran's unprecedented attack on Israeli soil, where sources claim Israel did give the White House a heads up. But the U.S. played no part in the decision to retaliate. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany here with my co-host Emily Campagno and Harris Faulkner. Also joining us, Fox Business anchor and co-host of The Bottom Line on Fox Business, Dagan McDowell, and Fox News contributor and professor of medicine at NYU Langone Medical Center, Dr. Mark Siegel. But first, let's go to Jeff Paul. He's live in Tel Aviv with more. Jeff.
Yeah, Kayleigh, well, life here, at least in Tel Aviv, seems very unchanged. You've seen a lot of people out today walking along the beach, exercising, doing their last-minute errands, heading into the weekend. But prior to today and prior to the strike, there's been a lot of tension in the air as many people throughout the Middle East had a bit of anxiety as they waited to see how Israel would respond to the Iranian attack that happened just 6 days ago. And what is really interesting is that through this response, it's really sent a message overall. You know, the Israeli government isn't responding today or putting out any specific comments to what they did, but it shows that Israel can strike within Iran, and it can really strike whenever it wants, wherever it wants. Now, it appears, according to our Fox News military source, Israel responded with that limited and specific targeted strike in the central region of Isfahan, and this is significant, being that it is so close to the capital of Tehran, but also that it's near the Natanz nuclear facility. Now, that site was not hit. The strike, though, appears to have been targeting an Iranian airbase. But it clearly shows, once again, that Israel has the capabilities to hit this area. Really, the only comments we've heard from Iran so far were that explosions were heard, and that was caused by Iran's air defense systems shooting down 3 drones. Now, while Iran is seemingly downplaying this strike, retired General Jack Keane had this to say regarding how Israel's strike could impact Iran.
The important thing is there are going to be some sanctions coming forward. Certainly missiles, drones, you mentioned the steel industry, all of that is worthwhile. They're flush with money, and what's that from? Oil. Oil, oil, oil. And that should be our focus.
Now, really no comments coming from the Israeli government or the Israeli military, but just a few moments ago, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu put out a bit of a cryptic tweet. If you go to his X account, you can see it yourself, but it's a picture of himself sitting at a desk. There's a bunch of documents. Everything on his desk is blurred out with the message, Shabbat Shalom. Kayleigh?
Wow, Jeff Paul, thank you. So Iran's foreign minister, one of them yesterday, spoke out about what would happen should Israel strike Iran. Listen to what he said.
In case the Israeli regime embarks on adventurism again and takes action against the interests of Iran, the next response from us will be immediate and at a maximum level. If the Israeli regime commits that grave error once again, our response will be decisive, definitive, and regretful for them.
So I wanted to play that because those are harsh words. But then today, Iranian media seems to be downplaying this attack, Harris. They blamed infiltrators from inside Iran. That's an analyst that they had on. And then Reuters has a quote from an Iranian official. The foreign source of the incident has not been confirmed. We have not received any external attack. And it goes on. In other words, kind of backing away from that language we heard yesterday.
I trust nothing they say. I don't. I think that when they say, well, you know, this is the end, they claim the end on the weekend as long as, you know, Israel doesn't make, quote unquote, another mistake. And now the word from the foreign minister of Iran is adventurism by Israel, like we're all out on a joyride or something. So, no, I don't trust anything that they say. I think that, you know, it's potential that the next time they would want to hit Israel, they won't give everybody a heads up because they've already shown that they can hit inside Israel. And, yeah, many of those rockets or those missiles and drones failed, so on and so forth, but many of them also had to be shot down. So you put a little dirty nuclear fissile material on the end of a warhead, you've got a dirty bomb at that point. And I'm having experts tell me on my show and also just talking with people, getting ready for the show, How likely is it that they would do that? Yeah, they'll do that. They're dirty actors. They're terrorists. They're going to lie. I don't believe that they think that this was just folly. They're downplaying it because they don't want to have to look bad if they can't hit back with what they know they want to do. We need now more than ever. We do not have the IAEA inspectors on the ground the way we did before. We do not have the pressure on Iran the way we did before, thanks to Biden. We need to know how close they are to a nuclear weapon, because threats are threats until they're action, and I trust nothing that they say.
Yeah, Emily, the Biden administration, it's important, I think, to remind viewers what they did in the aftermath of this. They pledged verbally their support for Israel, but then the anonymous administration official, you always got to look out for what they have to say. Well, they told Axios this. Biden told Bibi, U.S. won't support an Israeli counterattack on Israel. President Biden told Benjamin Netanyahu this Saturday. You got to win, take a win, Biden told Netanyahu. Perhaps this is a dog whistle to the progressive base he's trying to win back that's upset about Gaza, but that's not quite unequivocal support when you're signaling this to the press.
And let's take their official statement, the first official statement after Israel, clapped back, where within 4 sentences, Secretary of State Blinken was essentially sort of condemning Israel's attack on the Islamic Republic. Sure, after pledging support, but what does pledging your support mean if 3 sentences later you're condemning the fact that someone is defending themselves? I want to as well add a postscript to the messaging I feel like this sends, which is not necessarily demonstrating their capabilities, which I don't think anyone questioned, but it's that whole point. It's that we will not let an attack on our soil go unpunished. And when you put that against the landscape, as you said, Iran's foreign minister who said the military adventurism, Israel has to be compelled to stop it. How? I mean, there's a lot that is pushing against Israel right now for their ability to defend themselves. And it seems somewhere along the line that a lot of it has been lost in the translation of what exactly provoked this. What provoked this was Hamas's attack on Israel's soil and the butchering of multiple people on a Saturday morning. And that somehow seems to be lost in this diplomacy being batted back and forth.
So important. You're talking about October 7th, the atrocities, the children who were slaughtered. I could not believe the reporting that came out of the Wall Street Journal yesterday. I had to read it twice. Breaking, the U.S., that means Biden, is pushing for a deal that presses Israel to accept Palestinian statehood in exchange for diplomatic recognition by Saudi Arabia. So in other words, Hamas slaughters children, and then the reward is a Palestinian state in the aftermath, Dagan?
Right, and the Biden administration does nothing to cut off the funding for the reign of terror by Iran and all of its proxies across the Middle East. What General Jack Keane said, oil sanctions should be our focus. And from day one, Biden and company have coddled Iran and allowed, the Biden doctrine is appeasement and enrichment of the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. They have sat back and allowed oil exports to soar to a near 6-year high. China, the biggest buyer of Iranian oil, they are making $45 billion every year. And that is funding essentially attacks on Israel and on American assets, dead service members. And the Biden administration, 2 different bills have passed to sanction buyers of oil in China. And Biden has done nothing. They are allowing this. They are subsidizing and bankrolling attacks on the United States and Israel.
Yeah, and then Dr. Siegel, then FoxNews.com has this headline: 13 Democrats vote against resolution condemning Iran after Israel's strike. Only 1 Republican, but I'm not sure why anyone would vote against that.
Unbelievably hypocritical. I want to make a couple of historical points here. This is occurring right before Passover. This is when the 10 plagues came. Israel chose the exact time to do this, to hit Iran, as a message, because October 7th occurred on Sukkot, which is one of our high holidays, and the 73 war occurred during Yom Kippur. They're saying warning, and they deliberately hit right near that nuclear facility, which has 3 Chinese-sponsored research reactors, and they got plenty of uranium in there, to Emily's point, in that country, and that's all under the Obama administration, allowing them to build up to the point where they're a nuclear threat, potentially. This was a warning about that nuclear reactor.
Wow, scary times that we live in, scary times. We will keep you updated with all of the latest. Well, we're getting new details about what's happening right now inside the courtroom of Trump's criminal hush money trial. Live report next.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.